Guy Cormier Stories Today. And I just want to say, about time that we got into the warm weather. But the only thing I don't like is all this rain that we've been having. So now that the hurricane season is coming up upon us, we're going to have, from what the news was saying, we're going to have about maybe 16 hurricane storms, and maybe 9 of them is going to be the serious ones. What's wrong with our weather nowadays? It seems that due to the climate change, probably the global warming has a big effect on the climate of our Mother Earth. But I have to say, the weather has been fickle. And I'm glad that everybody here in the audience are here to watch my show. So we're going to be talking about many different topics, whatever comes on top of our brains to talk about. So without further ado, let me introduce you to my fellow CTV producer and friend, Brian LaPayower. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Guy, thank you for having me back on the show.
You're welcome. So what would you like to talk about today?
There's many different topics out there. Well, you are the host of the show. What would you want to discuss?
Well, let's talk about a little bit about music for now. What kind of music do you like, and what groups?
There's so many groups out there. I practically listen to anything really these days. Maybe like, I don't know, I guess what's currently out there.
Yeah, but don't you have a certain genre of music that you really get into, that you really like the most?
I just get into anything really, though, as long as I move around stuff. It's not too dramatic. It's not too, over the top.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like all kinds of music. I like soft rock, hard rock, heavy metal. I don't like it. I don't like it's too gauche.
Oh, you don't like AC/DC?
AC/DC is the only heavy metal group that I would have to say I do like, because sometimes their music falls on to where they're not really screaming. Maybe some of the songs they probably do, but there's a lot of songs that has what do you call it, AC/DC, that they do play, but you'll be able to understand it without them really yelling.
And I wouldn't talk. Your introduction video is Aerosmith, and that's also rock too, by the way.
Yeah. Aerosmith is one of my favorite groups. I have to say, my favorite music to listen to is Aerosmith, Elvis Presley, the Rolling Stones.
Speaking of the Rolling Stones, have you seen the documentary on Bill Wyman?
No, not yet.
The Quiet One?
No, not yet.
It was shown at the, I saw it recently at the Tribeca Film Festival. And Bill Wyman had basically collected archives and archives of videos, pictures, memorabilia of his time with the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones was not basically a rock band. It was actually more of a jazz blues band before it came out all as rock and everything.
Right. Yeah, and Mick Jagger just recently had heart surgery, and from what I've seen over the last 2 weeks, they show a video of him up there and dancing, and especially at his age, that's amazing.
Well, yeah, he's been dancing for years, Mick Jagger, to the song. But keep in mind, it's not just, he dances around with his own music, but also he plays guitar too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I also like Queen. I like ABBA, Elvis Presley, and I like some jazz music and some classical music and opera. I like those music too. And country.
So you like jazz? I'm thinking of the jazz singer. Was it Jolston?
Yeah, Al Jolson. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very legendary jazz singer.
Yeah, from way before our time. Way before our time.
Right.
And what about TV? Like, what kind of TV shows do you like?
It's tough to say though. Most recently the America's Got Talent.
Yeah, that's a good show.
That's a good one, Bill.
I like watching America's Got Talent because they have so many outrageous acts, but they also have acts that are so idiotic. Like,
but that's the thing, though. They believe their act's like $1 million act.
Yeah.
You don't know who's. I mean, most of the talent you've seen. Okay, you had Darcy Lynn, who's a ventriloquist. I remember Terry Fader also won as a ventriloquist on the show too. A couple of singers as well. It's funny, we had singer Michael Grimm, and coincidentally Staten Island elected Michael Grimm at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I like watching America's Got Talent. Well, about have you ever watched The World of Dance?
The World of Dance. That's on one with Jennifer Lopez. I've seen that. Yeah,
Jennifer Lopez.
They have a lot of talented dancers in that program.
And what's that? I forgot what the other guy was his name. Well, the two guys with him, like one's two of them is the dancer and one also a singer. I totally forgot his name, but I know Jennifer Lopez was on it. That's a pretty good show. The Voice is another, and American Idol, and I think there's a new one out that has the same thing as the American Idol does.
Yeah.
And their shows are pretty good. And what about Dancing with the Stars? That's another pretty good show.
I haven't got into like Dancing with the Stars for quite a while. It all depends on the celebrity talent. Of course, apparently some of the celebrity talent, of course, passed away. I mean, one more member, Florence Henderson from the Brave Bunch. She appeared on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, without doubt. Marie Osmond appeared on that show, and she at one point during the course of the season, she fainted back then, and I'm just glad that Marie Osmond is okay.
Yes.
And what do you call it? Have you ever seen a show like The Bachelorette? I watched a few episodes, but sometimes the Bachelorette or the Jersey Shore, sometimes those two shows will have sometimes controversies.
Well, the Jersey Shore is only short-lived. I mean, they have a couple of, they made a couple of stars out of most of the individuals. It's not, I mean, but as far as The Bachelor, I mean, I've seen alternative shows to Bachelorette. Like I've seen on Fox, I think we had Paradise Island, something like that.
Right.
Then you had this one guy, who was like very obese, and he married like a girl who was also obese.
Yeah.
And based on the cliffhangers, what they chose, though, I mean, of course you're gonna be the aftermath. I mean, not everyone's gonna stay around as a couple or not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and same with Bachelorette, though.
Yeah. And the Jersey Shore, what's her name?
Snooki.
Yeah, Snooki. That's the one I was talking about.
Nicole
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's very pretty. I have to say, she is pretty.
Even though she's not Italian, she's actually Chilean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
She was adopted to into
an Italian family. Yeah.
Yes.
I was watching her new show, which I find totally outrageous. How far is Tattoo Far? Mm-hmm. It's a show where it's like some of the tattoo shows you see on cable, but with this one, it was just so hilarious. It's because they'll have people come on, and the basis of the promise of the show is where it's either for do a practical joke, or you want to teach the person, because each person has to pick a tattoo for the other person, either as a joke or to teach them a lesson or to make them realize they have to change. And so when they pick the tattoo for each other, sometimes they get a laugh out of it, or sometimes there could be a little anger in it, but it's just hilarious. One person picked, because there's one person he totally loves Trump and supports Trump. So know what happened?
Well, this is not a political show. This is to make the viewers aware.
This is not a political show. We're just we're talking about music, movies, TV shows, and other topics. I'm just mentioning what happened on this particular show. How far is Tattoo Far? What I've seen on it. So this is not a political. We're not talking about any political.
If we do, I mean, it's just our opinions. That's all it is.
It's just our opinions.
We are bipartisan. I have relatives who are both Republican and Democrats, independents, conservative. Though, remember, you have to read all the facts before you draw your own conclusion.
Yeah. And so what happened was, because the person was like, let's just say, because he always talks about Trump nonstop. So his friends just got like, let's just say, a little, let's say, antsy. So to put it in perspective, he picked a tattoo for his friend that likes Trump, a cartoon. Let's just say. A cartoon stripper of Trump.
A stripper?
Yeah.
Who's he thinking of? Former Jets coach Rex Ryan?
No, Trump himself.
No. Yeah. You seen the tattoo Rex Ryan put on his arm, right?
Yeah.
It's supposedly his wife wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey. Well, actually, it was number 6 now.
Right.
Of course, Mark Sanchez not. Of course, Rex Ryan or Mark Sanchez is no longer with the Jets anymore.
Yeah.
Now you have Adam Gase, who was famous for his bug eyes and also interim head coach. Yeah. But step aside from the tattoo. That's a very strange, bizarre tattoo.
Yeah, it is because he had it's like Trump is in the sitting position, but in his birthday suit, and there's this cartoon version of it, and it's just I find it quite funny. But you have to look at in this day and age. You can't take things seriously. You have to look at it with the sense of the humor. It's not being disrespectful to Trump. It's just something as his friend did. Let's just say in his own way a funny joke to make his friend not be so serious about things all the time. But I do have to say Trump is a good guy as far as I know, and he's a smart and intelligent man.
Right. But he has the power to make America great again. This is not a political show. It's just, remember, he's not the original person that said a statement. Ronald Reagan said a statement. And also, look at Ronald Reagan's career, too. He just like he was. Don't forget, Reagan was also besides governor of California, but he was also an actor too. Yeah. Look at the movie, Disney movie, Bedtime for Bonzo.
Yeah.
You ever seen that one?
Yeah, I seen a number of Ronald Reagan's movies before he got into politics.
Right.
And
but also another thing about Reagan. Reagan was not born in California. He was born in Illinois.
Yeah,
that's another thing. Same as Hillary Rodham Clinton. Again, this is not a political show. I mean, guys, this is a general. This is just
a show in general information, just for entertainment purposes.
Yes.
Just talking about what one friend would talk to another. It's just for entertainment and to gain some insight on the American culture, in other words.
Because you know something, Guy, I've seen some programs here on the station right here, and the way they blast about politics, especially even though it's Pinto. But I think that some of the that you got read all the facts straight before you say something out there.
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, there is one article I want to bring up about. We had people that took their lives jumping up the Arizona Bridge. And unfortunately, it is sad to say that the political parties, especially, I'm not going to say which one it is, does not want to put a stop to it. You believe that?
That's ridiculous. Human life.
This was in the what's called the local our own newspaper, the Staten Advance. I'm not blasting about that. Good articles and everything.
How can a government not do nothing to stop people from committing suicide on a bridge or for anywhere else, whether it's in their home, whether it's on a bridge, building, or whatever. That's like the government's so idiotic that. Okay, here's another perfect example. Look at all the shootings we've been having.
Right.
And it's like an everyday normal thing. It's like becoming part of the American culture, and they don't do nothing to stop the shootings, the mass murders, and suicide and drugs.
Speaking of mass shootings, in Florida at the Marjorie Stoneham School, the resource officer Scott Peterson was found guilty because he didn't do anything to stop the shooter.
Wow!
And
I heard that.
This was locally in
Was
news.
that the officer that just didn't do anything?
That was the officer that didn't do anything, though.
Well, he's going. From what I hear, he's going to. There's a chance he might go to prison.
No, he is going to go to prison, though. Supposed to be up to like 90 years or plus.
Oh, wow!
For the conviction, though. That's what's been reported on the local news.
Yeah, and his lawyers were trying to downplay it by saying it's not child abuse. Yeah, it is child abuse.
But here's the thing, though. As far as resource officer, I used to do security. One thing, the difference between a security guard and a police officer. Police officers are sworn in; they take an oath. Security guards do not take an oath. Just to make aware of that.
Yeah.
So basically, when Scott Peterson took an oath, his job was to basically defend the facility, the students, everybody involved. I mean, he's supposed to simple. God forbid. Let's say they got shot, be taken as a hero though. That should have been though. But instead, he did nothing though.
Yeah, it's like that officer that didn't, for what you just mentioned, that at the school shooting, and he didn't do nothing. Okay, and his lawyers was basically saying, well, he did he didn't do anything wrong. It's not child abuse or child neglect. Yes, it is. Yeah. Because he was in charge of protecting the school. He was in charge to protect the students. So by not doing so, that's being neglectful to protecting and making sure that the students or the children in the school are being safe. So in itself, he was basically being derelict in his duties as an officer or a security guard or whatever case may be. So it's just insane that all these shootings over the last 30 years is now the norm. It's just like with Columbine, with what is the other school?
It's funny. Columbine was exactly 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Over
Columbine.
20 years ago.
What about what's the other school? There was another.
You talking about the one in Connecticut?
The one in Connecticut. Newtown, Connecticut. Then there was and over the years there was a few other shootings, and then shootings at the theater.
Yes.
And
the one in Aurora, Illinois, Colorado.
And it's just so insane that our politicians, our elected officials, can't come up with a law to make gun safety more tougher. But know why?
Why?
It's because the elected officials are afraid because of the NRA. Because the NRA has a lot of power, and when there's money behind...
I'm sorry, but I've been disagreeing on that one, dear. Do you know what the mission of the NRA is?
What is the mission of the NRA?
Let me bring up the NRA, what they do here. The NRA, basically, let me see.
Yeah, but the NRA has a big part in gun laws, doesn't it?
No, the NRA, hear me out, is the Americans' premium guns rights organization, made up nearly like 5 million members. Today, we win to battle for the Second Amendment, though. So it's basically all about the Second Amendment, though.
Right.
One, the constitutional right is,
to bear arms.
To bear arms, though, for protective purposes, though. But also keep in mind, though, there's also the controversial standing ground rule in Florida, which, of course, where if someone feels threatened, they have a gun, they shoot that person, and the fatality of life, though, that law right there basically prevents individuals for ones with a gun, even though you could. Basically, it's like misjudging a mind whether you couldn't tell it's a threat or not.
Yeah, but look how many times when we hear when our elected officials. Well, I don't know if it's because it's election year or whatever, But whenever our elected officials starts talking about making gun safety tougher, making tougher laws concerning firearms, the NRA is right there objecting.
It's not being objective. First of all, here you have to have, if you're going to own like a weapon such as a gun, you also got to have a license too. By the way, speaking of licenses, I just read recently in the news that there have been accidents involving elevators. Guess what? They want those people that work in elevators also be licensed too, licensed mechanics.
Of course, and when you're in any business, whether it's in constructions, doctors, in other words, any business,
right?
That or company or whatever, yeah, you have to have a license in order to operate.
Even for photography too, by the way.
Even photography.
Even food sanitation also.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, because apparently, but whoever's especially for the management though, not the cashier, not the crew workers, especially management, they had to be at least certified and show their picture of their certification.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
and that's it's a good thing to have that because. You know who's, especially when it's regulated, then you know, okay, if they made a mistake in something,
right,
or there's a faulty equipment, or like say you're going to build an architecture, when a building goes up, everything has to be, let's say, dot the I's and cross the T's to make sure every piece of equipment, material is. And good working order and good quality for the because when you go and live in it or work in it, it's got to be able to support not only the structure has to support itself, but it has to support all the furniture and the equipment and the people that's going to occupy the building.
Right.
So by it being while there's regulatory systems to where you dot the I's and cross the T's. Mm-hmm. If anything, and there has to be also labels, codes, and for each piece of material, so that there and company stamps or whatever. So if a material fails or was subpar, the investigation will show, okay, this came from this company and not that company. It will show, what I'm saying, for identification.
Well, that's why we have OSHA. They're ones that actually, validate the property and structure, though. But plus another thing I want to bring up is that there's also, buildings that have historical status. Yeah. And I think if the building is not maintained properly shaped to be historical, it should be removed and should at least have something like dedicated that, though. But I understand there's also monopoly with funding, and I think it's a little absurd, though. It shouldn't matter what the funding is, though, or whoever's paid back, though. And on top of that, though, it doesn't have to be. It hasn't had to be exclusively by the city, state, or government, though. And I think that funding, like for instance, I remember reading about a public restroom was used with city funds, and the bathroom's very small and it costs millions. Yeah. I think something like that where instead of the city using up millions or whatever the funding is, the funding should go to independent private contractors. This way they get to do work through distribution of the city, and the city, the city funds, the private contractor to build what they want need, though, instead of using money, though. Yeah. I think that certain if anything done by the city, though, it's going to cost more, or at least have someone independently contracted who knows what they're doing, put it together. And a lot of people are discouraged that you pay the city paid millions of dollars for a structure of property on which it probably could go less through outside, and at least individuals that do the work. Yeah. Except for when it comes to New York City subway tunnels, I think that of course this city has cleaned up, though. I saw recently online. A video post up on one of the train stations out in Queens that they had once the train leaves the station, there was a crossover, and of course to like delay delaying the train speed. So instead, they within a month they got rid of it, where basically there's no crossover where the train basically exits out of the station and another train exits in though.
Right.
I do feel from the Staten Railway, I think that it should be expanded to have at least a third track at certain portions.
Yeah, but how would they be able to? Okay, we have two sets of tracks. One going from St. George to Townsville and Townsville to St. George.
Right.
There's basically, well, yeah, you can say, I think certain parts there is.
To at least run express trains and stuff.
Well, yeah, but see, in order for them to do that, they will have to do some eminent domain, because a lot of the homes abuts the railroad tracks.
No, it like I said, it varies on the station. Basically, we got to remember the train goes, above ground and in ground. But I think there are certain portions when it goes below ground, they can at least at least extend it out. If they go above ground to the two rails, especially for the stops for I think one of them's Bay Terrace.
But if they were to do that, it would be like there's like a short distance between point A and point B.
Right.
Where it really doesn't make sense to pour money into making a third track if it's only going to be like a short distance.
Well, it's going to be at least limited parts for the third track. That's what it comes down to. It'll be like limited parts where it goes express and local. But I don't think it's probably not this because this for the
but the only way. For especially, I can see it as like if you have the local going from St. George all the way to Townsville, and if you're talking about like express where, okay, the express will go through the same length of rail, then when it gets to the part where it goes into the third rail, it could go that way, like say turn into the third set of rails to bypass the local rails, where even if there's like a back-to-back train, so they could go out basically at the same time. You're talking about that, and I can see your point in that.
Okay. How about this though? Pleasant Plain Station, you only have the first 3 cars, even though it's 4 cars. I think they should really extend out the platforms or redo it over where you have all the whole thing.
Yeah. If there's
it took out 2 stations, and now we have 21 stations instead of 24.
Even in Richmond Valley, you have to be in the second.
Richmond Valley was eliminated.
Richmond Valley is eliminated?
Yes.
When did they eliminate it?
They eliminated. It was what you call the last track. The last was only 1 car. They eliminated that.
You have to get off the. You can't go.
Richmond. I'm sorry, Richmond Valley. Yeah, off where Amber Rose.
Second to the last car. Let's say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's 3. That's when they got to extend. Richmond Valley.
Yeah. The very last car, at the end, let's say the caboose part, let's just say, you can't be in that way when you get off. The second to the last one you could be on to get off at Richmond Valley, but not the very last car.
But they do have, but if they want to, they should have a way to extend it though. They can. They just don't want to, put the money into it though. I look at the overstructure. They can, they just don't. As the borough doesn't. The borough's too corrupt. I'm sorry to use that word, but I feel that they don't want to overlook things. Yeah. To make things better.
Some stations to where, because some stations where the whole cars, like if they have 5 cars.
It's 4.
Or it's 4, 5, whatever the case may be. I'm just giving an example. Where it's 4, it's 5.
Yeah.
Which most likely it's always been 4, and they should have a station where it can accommodate the 4 trains.
Well, they do. The Arthur Kill Road Station accommodates all 4 cars.
And I've been hearing on the news.
Yes.
That the New York Wheel, right?
Yes.
Well, I just heard recently it's not dead yet. That Debbie Rose and a few others are trying to get other investors to come in and finish the New York Wheel. And And I think they probably will do it.
I heard it's not going to be the same size. It's going to be like a small version.
Yeah, instead of being 625, it's going to be 400 and something. It'll be basically the same size as the London Eye.
Right.
Yeah.
So a little bit smaller, but I think they still messed up with the St. George, where they could have at least had 2 sets of tracks and also have future project tunneling to the old, what you call B&O Railway.
Yeah.
That's still messed up.
If they were, I would like to see them where they make railway tracks, new railway stations going from St. George along the waterfront to connect to the Townsville station. And that would be so much helpful. But there has to be a certain way of them doing it because because there's not enough space or enough land for them to do that. So they will have to build some kind of foundation, or build up Staten Island, like you know how like when they make artificial islands.
Yeah.
They will have to either do something like that to extend the coastline. Say a few hundred feet, or build some kind of foundation to where they could build tracks on top and have new train stations for transportation.
That's definitely an idea, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Staten Island's looking for at least ideas. The Bayonne Bridge, I thought was that disastrous, but actually, I think they could at least, took the whole structure down. We've been out like one bridge and built a whole brand new bridge.
Yeah.
Right now in Brooklyn, Queens, they're finally built the second stand for the Kosciuszko, which they rebuilt. Everyone enjoys, of course, the new Goethals Bridge, the new Tappan Mario Cuomo Bridge, they call it.
Yeah.
But of course, the biggest project will be, of course, how they're going to work on with the outer bridge crossing. So,
and what do you think of movies? What kind of movies do you like watching?
It varies. I'm not too big into horror films. They're too gory, even though they have all those special effects. Have you seen any movies lately?
Yeah, I just recently went with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a dear friend. She's also a fellow CTV producer.
Okay.
And she took me out to see Godzilla, the new Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. The beginning I didn't like so much, but the movie itself was pretty good. And there's going to be another one. There'll be a third one coming out probably within the next year or two.
Okay.
I like monster movies. I like horror movies. I like comedies. Romantic ones. I don't like romance movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like them.
Well, recently I saw the new Aladdin film.
Yeah.
In 3D.
Oh, wow.
I finally saw a 3D movie, but my mom ordered the tickets, but she didn't realize what row she got, and we were like almost in there, like nosebleed seats.
Yeah.
We were like at least in the third row in this theater.
Yeah, but I like to go up in the nosebleeds.
Yeah. Well, not nosebleeds. I mean, too close to the screen.
Parts of the
right.
theater.
That's probably the best feeling, though. You want to be in the back, that had the best
But
view.
haven't you noticed when you go into a theater, do you know that years ago the theater would be like where the seat there'd be like many. Yeah. And nowadays, and then when you go into a theater, they make the theater where you view the movie smaller now.
Right.
I don't like too much. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I wouldn't want to sit in the front row on the bottom part of the theater, because then you have to look up like this, and after a while you get a pain in the neck.
Right.
And
I saw a couple movies this year. I saw a couple, like I mentioned before, the Quiet One, the Bill Wyman, about Bill Wyman.
Yeah.
I saw Changing the Game, about 3 transsexual athletes.
Right.
1 in Texas, 2 in Connecticut, and 1 in I think New Hampshire, something like that. And they talk about the transitions. They had they had a bond with the family, politics, etc. And then the another film I saw, besides also Quiet One, was also I Want My MTV. The what you call it? I think. Oh my God, well, these names, the autobiography about how MTV got started, though.
Yeah.
MTV was started through division of Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
Warner
I like some documentaries.
Yeah,
but on historical figures or documentaries on how things began or how it came to be or how it's made or put together. I like the one Howard is putting out. I think it'll be out in theaters soon. I think he's doing a documentary film on Pavarotti.
Oh yeah,
the opera singer.
Right.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that. It looks interesting.
Who plays the role of Pavarotti?
Huh?
Who plays the role of Pavarotti? Do you know?
That I don't remember who would be they won't be. I don't think there would be anybody playing him.
Yeah.
It's a documentary where they'll show interviews and video clips and things he's done in his life. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're gonna have anybody portraying him, as far as I know.
Right. Or maybe a recreation of Pavarotti. It's sad that he was born and died in the same place that he lived. Though.
Yeah. Look at with Elton John, the movie about his life.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, how many movies has there been on about celebrities? I know Freddie Mercury. There was a movie about his life.
Yeah.
Elton John, Pavarotti.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name any others that the movies that were that was either on TV or in theaters that were about celebrity or political figures?
Let's see. There was
Kennedy was one also.
Oh right. Yeah. JFK was a film. Who else? I'm still blank though. Where's my mind? Anyway, what else? So yeah, there's gonna be plenty of different movies that's coming out and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you want to talk about? Art.
Yeah, we could talk about art. What kind of art do you like?
Depends though. I'm not even good at I never even tried like paint, but not by paintbrush, but at least Photoshop. I couldn't even put a banner together or a poster.
Right. But have you ever tried to do that?
I don't even have the programs for it. I understand, cost funding to do something like that. I mean, even videography, where you take footage and you want to edit together. That's something I have never achieved done either. I don't even have a passport to even travel either overseas. I've been to Canada, but that was before they changed the system. Everything you used to have an valid U.S. driver's license. Now you need the passport to travel to Canada or Europe, Asia, Philippines.
But you never tried to create your own art, or even on film by just using an app to just manipulate the picture or add or take away or something creative.
You mean filters?
Yeah, filters. You never did anything to try see if you could do it.
I just don't put my mind into it though. I have so much on my mind. I mean, even I have a yard, and I don't even do any gardening either. I see people, buy all sorts of different plants, trees, soils, and if someone would question me and acknowledge that, to tell you the truth, I don't even make the effort that even drainage rocks and different type of varieties, mulches too. I mean, that's one thing for sure. Mulches, I guess, used for decor.
Yeah, with me, I like trying to create my own art and be creative, and I will always try. I would give it a try to see if I could do it or not. And the way I look at it, you're never going to know if you're able to do it if you don't try.
That's true. I remember many years ago when you were a guest on my program, we were talking about September 11th, and you talked about a garden. Remember that, the garden?
Yeah, I used to do from '85 to 1995. I used to, for 10 years, I did my own entered the nitrous gun competition, and I loved doing it because I love being creative. And when I would create my gun, each theme each year would be totally different.
Yeah.
But the way how I designed it is that every time when there'll be people all over the neighborhood come to see my gun, and each person who would come and see my gun will see a different design. And that's how I set up. My design of my gun, so that each person will see something different.
Right.
And I've won. I came 2 years in a row. I came this close to winning citywide, but I mainly won 3 first prize, second, and then the first time I won was an honorable mention. So I won 5 times for my gun, and I really love doing it. So it's a lot of work. But it's something that I enjoy doing, creating something for my neighbors to enjoy.
So you said it 5 times?
5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I also always wanted how to. I also like watching martial arts films. And I've always wanted to do that, and I took lessons.
Yes.
Created my own animation. I've always wanted to do that. So by doing something, even if you like I said, you never know if you could do it unless you try it.
Right. What about podcasting?
Podcasting, I never tried that.
I haven't even tried either. It's funny, out in many different places, such as Long Island, New Jersey, I've seen so many people do a podcast with both video and audio, and I listen to audio as well too, though.
Right.
I watched one show online, they're independent stations, and they were talking about video gaming.
Right.
And they it was their first. It was their first show ever for these two two co-hosts, and they talk about the earliest in video gamings. They had products, like for instance Pong that came out in 1972.
Right.
Because remember what Pong was, and they talk about other. Other systems.
Yeah.
But the only catch was they had to work upon, writing out the topics, and then talk about other future events, though.
Most people don't realize, even in video gaming, when companies make video games, do you know it's just like the same process of doing a TV show. They write a script, characters. They do a storyboard on how each video game character will act or what movements that they need to do. And I find that process, I was watching the show on the process of doing that, and I find it very interesting how video games are made. If you go back to when I was a kid with video games, the video games 30, 40, 50 years ago, the video games back then were very primitive to the way the video games are today.
Oh, yeah. Especially pinball. Do you like pinball?
Yeah, I like pinball.
I like pinball too. I played pinball a couple times. I even played virtual pinball as well.
Yeah.
And as far have you had? No, I know we're on the topic of video games. What video games have you had in your lifetime?
See, I like playing Super Mario Brothers. When my brother he would loan me his Nintendo game system, and I would play it, but it was so easy because as you do each level, and you get to know where all the characters that you're going to shoot, where they're going to come out. So after a while, the game is like too easy. So I wanted to get from the beginning of the game all the way to the end, and I just found little tricks where when you go down the tunnel, you could if you stay in that one spot, you could build up your lives and so forth. So I would keep that video game on for a whole week. I never shut it off. I kept it on in that one spot. I was just pausing this, and for the whole week, and I was. able to finally reach the end part of the Mario Bros. But Mike Tyson one, that was a pain in the neck.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot. There's a Centipede and a lot of cool games.
Donkey Kong. I played on the ColecoVision.
Right.
I played also the Atari 2600 Pac-Man.
Right.
Where you hear those sounds like brum, 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 you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably one of the original effects. I mean, that time you had just a joystick and one button.
Yeah.
That's all you had.
Yeah.
Most controls today have about what? It's like
I still got the
16, 20.
I still got the Atari XE game system, and with all about 30, I think I got maybe 20, maybe 30 game cartridges.
It still works?
Yeah, it still works.
Really?
But I haven't, since I got it, I only played it maybe once or twice in 30 years.
Oh, really?
And I haven't played, after trying that one time, I never played, for some reason, I never got around to playing it.
Really?
So it's just been sitting in the closet.
You know what systems I have right now?
What?
I have, let's see, I had a Nintendo system. I got this clone system called Retro USB AVS, which plays on Nintendo and Famicom. I have a Super Nintendo. I have the clone Super Nintendo, plays high definition, really good too. I have PlayStation 1, which I don't play anymore, but PlayStation 2. I have the Nintendo Classic and Super Nintendo Classic.
Right.
I don't play much of them, though. I just... You know, it made no sense though. I mean, okay, I can see why it made sense, why they brought those systems out there. It's because of the fact that, you know, the games were so classic. But this is re-emulation though. I felt that, the emulation of the games, one of them was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. The emulation is not that great. I had troubles. You couldn't even use a special move. You had trouble from a special move though. I think they didn't get the right proper coding on that.
Yeah. But even video games,
I played Sega Genesis in the past too.
Even with video games and movies,
Game Boy.
They all have ratings.
Yeah.
But I think it's really inappropriate.
Well, video game ratings, you know, came out in like the early 90s because of the fact that Mortal Kombat and Sega Genesis had the fatalities still. So the government didn't like the fact that you had, which I told you, the game's rated 17 though. They felt like that was not going to parents preventing kids from playing the games. Yeah. So they had to add a discretion on there. That's why they created a rating system, though. Yeah. I mean, I think the video game rating system came out first, and then you had the television ratings followed by after those.
Yeah, but I think for younger kids, let's just say, children who are impressionable, they should be playing friendly kind of video games and not the violent one, because there's a lot of violent video games out there.
You want to know something with video games, though? There should be like at least a certain time on though. You shouldn't at least go over more than at least about a half hour or so, maybe like an hour the most. I mean, just to say it, though, because, I mean, video gaming can also take an effect on their lives, too, just to make you aware of that.
Yeah.
And also you want to at least know, like get out there, socialize, go to places like libraries, gymnasiums.
They can't let the video game. This goes for anything, whether it's watching movies or playing video games. You can't get yourself so caught up where it becomes an addiction.
Right.
Because then you're letting your life pass you by. There's more to life than just video games and watching movies or TV all the time or even reading.
Right.
You just gotta make your life. You gotta have a variety of activities.
Right.
That you could incorporate into your life instead of just one thing. And this is where children people get in trouble because they stick with one thing and they get too addicted with stuff.
Right. Well, one thing about video gaming, it's not because of the fact that I like video gaming. I actually do like the music, believe it or not.
Yeah, the music plays a big part.
Because most of the music has been like recomposed. Yeah, I can say recomposed, like one thing, some DuckTales, like the Moon stage.
Yeah.
All Street Fighter stages, though. There's like acapella versions. Yeah, like so many different remix and everything.
Yeah.
And creative ones out there.
Same thing with music scores for movies.
Right.
It plays a big part because it lets you know when the climax or a certain scene is going to become intense.
Right.
And that music plays into that. And sometimes when you're not expecting it, it makes you sometimes jump because you don't expect it. And that's what movies are supposed to do. Where, especially in horror movies, people, I like. There's certain horror movies I like and certain ones I don't.
Does it feature zombies?
I like zombie. I like zombie.
Did you
movies.
watch The Walking Dead?
Yes, I watched The Walking Dead. I love zombie movies. I like Dracula, Frankenstein type movies, Jaws, and stuff like that. Anything that has anything to do with supernatural stuff, I don't.
I guess that does not include unicorns. No, seriously, ask that. Do you have what about unicorns? What do you think about unicorns? Even though they're fictional, what do you think about them?
Same way you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about? I mean, look at what's it called? I mean, for the kids, they had what's called Milo Pony.
That's for kids. You're such a
No. Seriously, what's wrong with creativity other than that?
No, there's nothing wrong with creativity when it comes to unicorn movies.
They have the unicorn with the gum. You seen that?
Yeah,
commercial?
but that's commercial.
Right.
Well, unicorns are good. Like cartoons are good for little children.
How about that movie, The Last Unicorn? Wasn't that dramatic?
I never heard of it.
Oh, that's out there. There was one. I think there was one involving unicorn. Look it up though.
Right.
I think was it Tom Cruise or was it? I forgot which it was. Some unicorn movie. I recall.
What about the Incredible Hulk?
Yes.
Right. Not the one with Edward Norton.
Yes.
Do you know that? Do you know who did the voice for the Hulk?
Believe it or not, it was the original Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno.
Correct.
Yes.
He did the voice for the Hulk in that movie.
Right. Oh yeah, because he's it's by the voice and everything.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. I like watching Marvel movies, X-Men and Thor and so forth. And there was what's his name, Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
He did three.
Deadpool.
He did 3 different Marvel movies.
Right.
He did the origins of Wolverine,
right.
Deadpool, and the Green Lantern.
Right, but the Green Lantern's actually DC, not Marvel.
Oh, Green Lantern's DC?
Yeah, Green Lantern's DC.
Okay, so my mistake. I stand corrected. DC.
I mean, look what they did with what's called Catwoman. They made Halle Berry Catwoman.
Yeah.
And then and of course she was mostly. I mean, she had mostly was stronger being Storm from the X-Men series.
Yeah. And I think Halle Bailey, she looks cute with the white hair. I think she looks cute in that. And also Michelle Pfeiffer played Catwoman.
Right.
Eartha Kitt and Lee Merriweather. They also
original TV. But don't forget, as far as the latest Catwoman was what you call that actress? I forgot her name though. It'll get to me eventually.
Yeah.
But you also have what you call different Catwoman for the for Gotham also.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a friend whose car was in the show Gotham.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And do you know how Godzilla was born? What Godzilla represents?
A dinosaur.
No. The original way that Godzilla was born and what he stands for, when during World War II, the atomic bomb dropping on Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yes.
Well, Godzilla was born from that.
Right.
To show, basically, Godzilla represents destruction or destructive force of
right.
what nuclear weapons can cause.
Right.
So this was explained.
I think someone got the answer out there. Someone said Anne Hathaway. That's correct. Anne Hathaway was the latest Catwoman I see. But this was like more than like what 10, 11, like almost 10 years.
About 10 years ago, yeah.
Anne Hathaway.
But that's where. But that's basically how the filmmakers in Japan created the idea for Godzilla to represent what happened with Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Right.
And it's just like, and what do you think about some war movies? Do you have any war movies that you like?
Let's see. Not too big of them. I cannot really say Sergeant Bilko. You ever seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Seen the one. Driving around my automobile.
Yeah. McHale's Navy.
Right.
But it was more, Sergeant Bilko and McHale's Navy was more of a comedy.
How about Hamburger Hill?
Hamburger Hill I saw.
Platoon?
Platoon I saw. The Apocalypse.
Yes.
The bridge over the River Kwai I saw. Platoon.
Yeah.
I've seen a number of World War II movies and also documentaries on World War II, which I find interesting.
Right.
And it's just like we as the human race, we have to learn not to repeat history, in other words.
Right.
And it's like that song, War. What is it good for? It's good for nothing.
Right.
And it is because people from both sides suffer and loss of life, the loss of life. And what's the sense and purpose of that?
Right.
And I can see that we got about 3 minutes left to the show. I can't believe the hour went by. And I hope you enjoyed what we talked about. And I hope you enjoy your summer. And I'll see you guys next month. Brian, I want to say thank you for being on my show.
Thank you, Guy.
And I know sometimes the show got a little silly, but it's all in good fun. And I hope you enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen. See you next month. Bye, everybody.